SEBI share-based employee benefits and sweat equity regulations 2021 for as applicable to, or rather these are primarily for the purpose of dealing with the ESOPs schemes brought out by the listed companies. So what is the purpose of this session? Is to empower all of us with understanding of various provisions under the SEBI share-based employee benefit and sweat equity regulations 2021, which need to be complied with for issuance of ESOPs by a listed entity. Now here, remember, there are certain regulations which are of significance because SEBI regulations are very comprehensive documents, very well prepared, very useful, no doubt about it. But one has to really pick up what is the most relevant in our day-to-day profession. So the regulations which are of vital importance from the perspective of our practice or as a valuation professional. Number one is Regulation 6 that talks in terms of formulation and disclosure of the scheme. Regulation 7, grant of options and vesting period. Regulation 8, exercise of the options. Regulation 9, rights of the employees. Regulation 10, vesting and exercise conditions. Regulation 13, listing and trading of ESOPs, and Regulation 14, reporting and disclosure requirements. So these are the some of the most important regulations as part of the SBEB and SE regulations. According to the SEBI regulations, the vesting period is minimum 1 year for a listed company. These regulations are applicable. So any scheme that a listed company brings out of ESOPs, there has to be a minimum vesting period of 1 year. That means it can be more, but it has to be at least 1 year. Exercise price to be determined as per the scheme. Now, as regards the exercise price, we have already seen in the context of the Companies Act, where it says that the Companies Act does not prescribe any method for determining the exercise price. What the Companies Act says that it should be transparent and it should be justified, it should be documented. And same is the case with the SEBI regulations also. What it talks about is to be determined as per the scheme. So the scheme has to be as per the Companies Act provisions, and therefore whatever is included in the scheme as per the Companies Act will be complying with the SEBI regulations as well. Board resolution in any case is, board approval is necessary in any case. Shareholders approval by a special resolution under a special resolution is necessary. Disclosure requirements in the annual report. You can see there's a emphasis everywhere on the disclosure requirement. Maximum grant that can be is of 5% of the paid up capital. So there are certain schemes where it is 5%. There are certain schemes where it is 2%. This we have discussed in the beginning itself as per these regulations, SEBI regulations. So these are the 6 different schemes which are listed in the regulations: ESOS, ESPS, SAR, GEBS, RBS and SES. Applicability of these regulations. So apparently we all know that these SEBI regulations are applicable to listed companies. So in particular, the provisions of these regulations shall apply to any company whose equity shares are listed on a recognized stock exchange in India and who seeks to issue sweat equity shares or has a scheme for direct or indirect benefit of employees involving dealing in or subscribing to or purchasing securities of the company directly or indirectly, satisfying directly or indirectly any of the following conditions. So primarily SEBI regulations would be applicable to listed companies who are in the process or have already issued such shares. The regulation 3 of SEBI regulations on share-based employee benefit and sweat equity regulations talks in terms of implementation through a trust. So it is understood that managing the stock options or employee scheme or the ESOPs is not the job of the company. So therefore, if a company wishes to do so, a company can appoint a trust for managing all these schemes. That is very clearly provided as part of the regulations. What here is important to note, that if the scheme involves secondary acquisition or gift or both, then it shall be mandatory for a company to implement such a scheme through a trust. So that means what? That means, as we were discussing some time back, it is possible that a company may issue fresh shares for taking care of the ESOP schemes, or the company can decide to purchase these shares from the secondary market. And SEBI regulation says it very clearly that if the company is issuing fresh shares in response to these different employee option schemes, in that case company can do the administration of the scheme directly. However, if a company plans to issue these shares in response to various schemes from the secondary market, in that case it is mandatory that this company will have to use a trust. And why this company? That is where section 68 to section 68, 69 and 70 of the Companies Act will come on the fore. Because if the shares are to be issued by purchasing from the secondary market, then as per the existing company law provisions, a company cannot purchase its own shares. So the company will have to appoint a trust, and the trust will be in a position to purchase these shares from the secondary market for the purpose of implementation of the schemes. So this is what is the limits. So for the schemes enumerated, that is ESOS, ESPS and SAR, if these are the schemes, then the limit is 5%. And if it is other than ESOS, ESPS and SAR, then the limit of the shares, that fresh shares that can be issued, is 2% of the paid up capital. This is 5% of the paid up capital, and this is 2% of the paid up capital. Regulation 4 talks in terms of eligibility. An employee shall be eligible to participate in the schemes of the company as determined by the compensation committee. So remember, if the company has decided to delegate the role of the compensation committee to the nomination and the remuneration committee, NRC committee, in that case the job will be done by the NRC committee and not the compensation committee. And the explanation says, where such employee is a director nominated by an institution as its representative on the board of directors. Now incidentally friends, remember here two things. Number one, the directors, the normal directors of the company, non-independent directors of the company will be eligible for the schemes, for the benefit under these schemes. But independent director is restricted from getting the benefit of any such scheme. That is one thing that you should remember. It can also be there that there are certain directors who are there on the board of the company who are nominated by an institution. Now such directors will not be entitled for these schemes because you will have to see as to what are the provisions between what is the agreement between the company and the institution, and between the employee, the independent director, and the financial institution. So it will be decided based on that. So the directors who are appointed shall furnish copy of the contract agreement at the So in case if the financial institution who has nominated a person on the board of a company if the financial institution allow such a person to take part in the ESOP schemes of the company, in such case it can happen and not otherwise. Compensation committee, friends, we have discussed already. Shareholders approval, we have discussed already. So these were the prime provisions as far as the SEBI regulations are concerned. Let us now move to the FEMA.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Good afternoon. Yes,
Yeah.
Abhishek.
Sir, I'm Mohit on the other side. We had one question which we wanted to discuss. Can
Yes.
we
Yes,
discuss it
yes.
right now?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Miraji, please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, my question is regarding